Yesterday was a day full of interruptions. Have you ever had days like that? I started to get really frustrated. I had all these plans that I had in place that I wanted to get done, and every day has been really kind of a whirlwind of days ever since the passing of Quentin. I just cannot get a schedule down. And for work, that can be very detrimental. For those of you that work, know that you gotta work to make a living. And so I've been trying to set the schedule, and everything has been kind of messing that up. And I kind of had a come into Jesus moment yesterday. And every time I try to do something, I got interrupted. It was a reminder of the most important things. Now, that doesn't mean that work's not important. Yeah, it's important, but I'm grateful that I'm able to do it on my own schedule. And sometimes that can be frustrating because that own schedule is never like set in stone. And so that interruption was my sweet kiddos. And that interruption brought some sweet times with those kiddos. Had some things happen yesterday that I can't be public about, because it has to do with my kids, and I do not share those things publicly, grieving wise about my children. I am public with myself, but I want to respect my kids' privacy. But we're dealing with some really hard things right now. And every time, again, going back to every time that I was interrupted, I got a little frustrated, and it was a reminder of how precious time truly is, how precious that we get to have time together. And so I want to encourage you in the midst of your chaotic day, when you're interrupted, to be mindful that those interruptions could bring beautiful blessings. And it reminds me of this little story that I'll end with here. The day before Quentin passed away, it was the eclipse day. I was rushing around the house that Monday morning, trying to get all the things done. I had a checklist of checklists. And he comes in and he's like, "Hey, babe, we should go to lunch." I was like, "Baby, I don't have time to go to lunch." He's like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" I was like, "I don't have time to go to lunch, but we're gonna watch the eclipse together today." He's like, "Okay, well, I'll go grab lunch." He went and grabbed lunch, and we sat at this kitchen table over here, and we sat and ate lunch. And it wasn't necessarily in my schedule to do that, but it was a beautiful interruption of my day. So I want to encourage you. And looking back, I could slice and dice that a couple of different ways, right? And I could regret that I didn't leave, but we sat down. He brought lunch back, and we sat down together. I'll never get that time back. So I want you to be encouraged today to say, hey, those interruptions in your day that are really meaningful. It's a kid that's making a phone call to you. It's a husband that wants to bring you to lunch, that maybe on a day that you had all these things that you wanted to do. A friend that calls through and you're busy, but you know that friendship, that friendship of yours is important. Pick up the phone, talk to those friends, go out to lunch with your husband. When your kids interrupt you to play on the ground, I remember when they were little, when they interrupt you in what you're doing, that's so important. And I do this, not to say that it's not important, but in that moment, they're interrupting you. They're pulling at your robe and saying, "Mama, come play with me. Get on the floor and play with them." You never know if that time will come again. Time is weird, and the future is never promised, and the present is exactly what it is. It's a true gift. So this morning, when you're interrupted, remember, you might be being interrupted for a beautiful blessing that could take place as the biggest gift in the presence of your life. Be okay with being interrupted, my friend. You never know the blessing that could be behind it.